My name is Jacob Espinoza. I'm the founder of Leaders Lens. I'm a fractional COO, and I'm the host of this podcast. And I'm loving this season talking about conflict resolution, because conflict is a culture killer when you cannot handle it correctly. We see a lot of teams where we're very passive. We don't really address conflict. Things get swept under the rug. And the problem is, when things get swept under the rug, they just bubble up and become big things. By learning to resolve conflict, we can get in front of things, a lot of times be proactive, solve issues before they happen, or stop them while they're still manageable. But the problem is, we don't get a lot of opportunity to develop ourselves in understanding how to resolve conflict. And a big component of resolving conflict, it is the ability to listen. Now, if you ask my girlfriend, sometimes I'm not the best listener. If you ask people in my life, generally, there are times where I'm not the best listener. I try my best, try to stay focused, try to understand people. I feel like I generally have good intentions, but I'm not always a great listener, right? It's something you have to focus on. It's something that requires a lot of practice. But I am not alone in being a not great listener. The truth is, most of us are terrible listeners. And studies show that people are pretty bad. So we are preoccupied 75% of the time while listening, is what the study showed. So while we're trying to be engaged in a conversation, 75% of the time we are in conversation, we are actually preoccupied thinking about something else, focusing our attention somewhere else. And this might be a big reason why. Less than 2% of the population around the world has received any sort of formal education on listening effectively. Now, with this being such a critical skill, it is hard to imagine how few of us actually receive training in how to be good listeners. It's a big deal. It really is. But here at the Leaders Lens podcast, we have your back. You will have an advantage because you listen to this episode. And I am putting the official Leaders Lens formal training stamp on this podcast. We're going to consider this formal training. So because you've gone through this, you will be in that 2% of the world's population. So thank you for being here, making that possible. That's a big deal. Your top 2% listeners.